We are live now, ma'am.
A very good afternoon to Director Ma'am, Sir, and to all our viewers. Today, I want you all to imagine a connection between everything you ever used, a connection between your smartphone and your refrigerator, a connection between your computer and your car. Imagine being able to operate every light in your household with a mere touch on the screen of your smartphone. You may think that this might be a futuristic sci-fi fantasy like flying cars, but behold your thought train as it might just not be the case. To dive deep down into further into these exciting opportunities in the connected world of Internet of Things, the KCC Institutes has invited Mr. Atul Tripathi. We are honored to have your presence, sir. Now, I would like our director, ma'am, Dr. Bhavna Agrawal, to provide a brief introduction of our guest to our viewers before we begin with our session. On to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ishan. Good evening, everyone. I extend warm welcome to all of you in this webinar, Exciting Opportunities in the Connected World of Internet of Things. First of all, I, on behalf of KCC Institute, extend a cordial welcome to Mr. Atul Tripathi ji, Data Scientist Advisor, IISER Mohali, and member of our Academic Council, KCC ILIT School of Information Technology, for his gracious presence with us. Atul Tripathi ji is a data scientist with 16 plus years of experience. He is an author of a book on artificial intelligence. He is a member of leaders at Harvard Square and advisor to Data Science Center at IISER Mohali. He has worked at National Security Council Secretariat, Prime Minister's Office. Sir, I'm sincerely thankful as you kindly consented to share your knowledge and experience on this topic out of your extremely busy schedule. I now request to you to take over.
So thank you, Ishan, and thank you, Dr. Bhavna. As usual, it's a pleasure of mine to be interacting with one and all. And in particular, whenever Dr. Bhavna says something, I will never refuse to her. That's very nice of her to have invited me, and I'm really grateful. So it's a pleasure that I'm interacting with one and all. So first of all, if everybody can say that I'm audible, right? That is.
Yeah.
So what I would be doing is, let me put it up this way. We'll just discuss about what this entire Internet of Things is. And as Ishan just said, it's not a more futuristic thing. It's a practical thing that we are seeing. And in our day-to-day lives also, we'll see as we go about, how things are happening and how things will be, how it is already happening and what is the future there. So let's run through a presentation and also how we can make a career out of it. Most importantly, okay, everything is good and fine, but how do I make a career in this entire game? I have to make my mark in the world. So let's see some of the paths that we can take. What are the kind of certifications we need to look at? What are the areas that we need to look at? And most importantly, what exactly is this Internet of Things? All this is being talked about, with the government now speaking so much in these terms, and it is becoming very visible and very, everybody is becoming very vocal. In fact, in the new education policy, very interesting things that have come out. And if you would have read through the application of, or the teaching of programming skills, building up of applications or mobile and other devices, things like that is already being talked about by the government. And the new education policy 2020, which is recently been launched by the Prime Minister himself, talks about it in this direction. Also, the introduction of AI courses from class 8 onwards in various school, at the school level itself across the country, and the traction that it is gaining among the, not only the student community, the business community, and the value that everybody is seeing in coming days. So let's run through a presentation and let's see what we can gain out of this thing, and where we are heading, where we as individuals we can do what we can do, where we can contribute ourselves and make a great mark of ourselves. So I'll just take a minute and I'll run the presentation. I'll stop my video. I'll just make it a presentation. I hope you can see the screen, the presentation screen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible.
Great. So Ishan, you rightly pointed out this is not no more a dream. This is a fact of reality of life, and the faster we accept, the better it is for all of us. That's what I would like to say before I commence my description. So I really liked this diagram because because it says everything under the house. You can get everything, and it's saying about connecting of cars, satellites, to video, audio, video, virtual reality. So, I mean, some of the things that we may have seen in our Hollywood movies or even Hindi movies, where all these things have happened. A lot of things are interesting, things are happening. So, let's just see what exactly is Internet of Things, first of all. I mean, Internet of Things is basically a connection of devices. Things means devices. It is a physical thing. It's not a virtual thing. It's a physical thing which has been embedded. It can be, but the most important thing in this things, Internet of quote unquote things, as we can see, is the electronics component. So let me put it very simply stated. This area is not only open for computer science students, but also for electronic students, also for students from mechanical areas, various other streams. It's a combination of everything. So if you don't know electronics, how would you design a chip? Okay, fine, you need to have the understanding of computer science, definitely, in order to process data, in order to understand the make a great software. But we also need to have a lot of electronic items around it. So if I have a refrigerator, I need to have a sensor. So we have a lot of these washing machines, automatic washing machines, that we are using it in our day-to-day life. Now, what is exactly that thing? There is a chip installed. There is an electronic device that is installed, which says what is to be done next. That's a kind of an electronic. So it this area also opens to a lot of other people from mechanical, electrical, electronics, computer science. It's a very vast area and a very interesting area to be working in, which is about connecting objects, collecting of information, making an analysis on a real-time basis, finding out what the problems are, how we can find solutions around it. So basically, what does it mean? It is about internet of many things, as we call it, consumer internet of things, or internet of everything, internet of industrial internet of things. There are multiple words that you would be coming across, but primarily all of them mean one thing, that is connecting of things. So the word things, quote unquote, you will be hearing it over and over again, because that is what this entire discussion is all about. It's about things. So some of the key elements I would like to bring about is in terms of what exactly is this entire elements of industrial internet of things or internet of things. It's about connectivity, where you have integration of the worlds of information technology and operational technology. Now, when I say information technology, we obviously mean something in terms of computer science, data analytics, fundamentals of data sciences, and all that stuff. But operational technology, how do you operate something? If you don't have electronics behind it, how would you run a, a device or anything? So it's about intelligent systems, advanced analytics, but most importantly, it is about people. So any of these technologies, it's about people. It's a consortium of machines, computers, people. Very important thing is we often tend to underlook, or we often tend to ignore this people. People is what the technology is all about. Technology. So the technology part is and the people part in the technology is very important, which we often miss. And therefore we tend to mess up in our business plans or whatever it is. So what that brings to another question: what is Internet of Everything? So Internet of Everything is about people. You see, in the previous slide, it was about intelligent machines, advanced analytics, but Internet of Everything is all about people. People are the focus areas. Whom are we trying to serve? We are trying to serve a person, a person's need, the desire to have a better lifestyle is what is Internet of Everything. So industrial Internet of Things is where you have multiple devices attached, which are forming an industrial internet of consortium, or machines, computers, people, intelligent systems, industrial operations. So you see industrial operations now, people who are doing mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, they have a very bright future out here. I can clearly foresee that. Similarly, people who come from data analytics side or computer science side, they have a bright future out here. Electronics, yes, they do. People of Internet of Everything is about people, serving the people, where the fundamental of the game just changes in terms of the people. So one of the examples that I would like to quote in terms of Internet of Everything is about the smart cities. What is the smart city all about? What does a smart city would mean? Smart city doesn't mean everything will be happening automatically. No, it does not mean that. It means that our lives are enabled. Our decision making is made swifter. Our lives are become more, easier to live with, and we have a better environment in which we are living in. I will just take you around some of the examples around the smart cities thing as well. So if you look at the value stake or drivers, whatever you want to go, you want to utilize your assets, you want to increase your productivity of employees, you want to improve your supply chain logistics, customer experience, innovations and time periods, on taking to things to the market. These are fundamental things. Now, that brings them to the question of, okay, there's an internet of things, there is internet of everything, industrial internet of things, and own so many things. So what is this things all about? It's about data device connection. It's about connecting devices together, multiple devices connected together, which are sensing data, communicating, capturing. Okay, let me give an example out here. Perhaps that would be a more appropriate thing. Let's take the case of a car that is driving. Now, how do I come to know that my car is overheating? How do I come to know that? Because there is a device that is installed. There's a chip that is installed, which is connected to my engine and to my batteries and to my every other component out there. What is it selling? It is sensing heat. So there's a device connection out there, IoT devices, connectivity, embedded intelligence. Embedded intelligence means what? It's telling us that, okay, this is what the threshold level is. Beyond that is a red mark. Keep telling people you're heating up. So you're sensing data. How do you do that? You're sensing data. You're capturing data from various sources. And they're communicating. Whom are you communicating in a car? You're communicating to the driver concerned, to the partner, to the people who are traveling in the car. And then you're doing a data analytics. That means you're trying to process information. Okay, here is something happening. How do I do it now? What do I need to do it? How do I do it? How do I do an analysis on the edge? I have to tell the person concerned, okay, now you're heating up, you please stop, and therefore you bring in the data value with a human value. Human value means about valuable, tangible benefits to human beings. So Internet of Things is primarily, it's an interconnected sphere of physical devices with internet and other networks through uniquely identifiable IP addresses where data is gathered, communicated through embedded sensors, electronics, and software. So at the beginning, when I said that this field is open for everybody, I really meant it. Now you see electronics, anybody who's studying electronics has a beautiful future out here. Anybody who's studying automobile engineering, definitely you have a great impact. In fact, to be giving an example, in China, all the new cars that are coming in they have to compulsorily about 10,000 devices have to be installed, which have to give out information compulsorily to the government, every car. So you can quite well imagine the amount of data that is being gathered in a real-time system, and the kind of analytics that is to be used, and the kind of data value that is going to be derived. Why? Because we have to make our human lives much more tangible, beneficial to everybody. That brings me to the concept of some of the components that we look at. One is sensors. So we are living, sensors like say the computer vision or leaks you're trying to find out. Or let me give another example that we see every day. So in terms of sensors, I would like to say you walk into a room and you find the lights are off. As you walk in, the lights begin to on. Now, what is that? It's actually a sensor that something is telling inside the room that a person has moved in, and therefore you need to switch yourself on. So it is already happening. It's no more a visual reality. I would say work of fiction anymore. You can do your temperature analysis. You can find out your humidities. You can find out what the acoustics are around the place, the chemical gas leakages, the flow of water and other chemicals, the leakages, the pressures, how much is the acceleration, how much is the tilt. You can find it all out through the this thing called as sensors and actuators that are installed inside the devices. And since you have devices installed, you have got to communicate. So how do you connect? You got to communication means all about connectivity. So right now we are living in the world of 4G. You see, we started off all the way from Ethernet to down to the 4G. Now it has become 5G. So we are almost moving into the world of 5G. In fact, in India, in a lot of countries across the world have already moved into. And we are going to be moving very soon. So I'm sure a lot of us must be aware of the fact that a lot of 5G testing is taking place. So it's about connectivity. Then comes in people and processes. Now, as I said, this entire technology gambit is about people, nothing more. It's making sure that our lives are important, our lives are saved. Location and tracking. Today, I was reading something very interesting in Times of India, and it stated how does Google track or how does Google predict the traffic movement. So if you can just go down to Times of India and switch on, and you will be able to find out there are seven or eight methods, different methodologies that they have said they're using, and they're using actually Internet of Things, because they're using your devices, your mobile phones, your communication devices to find out where you are and how you are placed at this time period. And they have about 13 years of historical data based on which they do all the analysis in a real time systems. And they also look at, by the way, they also look at the road conditions, how, what is the, where are you driving, what is the conditions, because they have been collecting data for a long time. So you have these people and processes which is becoming very important, and this is the fundamental thing. Any technology, I've always believed, if it does not improve the value of a person's life, I'm sorry, I would not agree with that technology at all. Oh, this is a beautiful case study that I always like. I mean, this is one I really like. This diagram itself, first of all, talking about. So this is about a smart farms. And by the way, let me tell you, this smart farms is no more a futuristic thing. So we have already seen the use of drones for either surveying or mapping of the fields. Now, use of drones. Let me give an example. This the area of Delhi NCR, every year during the month of, starting from the month of October till about November end or December mid, we face a huge problem of smog. Not, I would not call it a smog, very dirty weather. That's primarily because there's a lot of burning of stubbles that takes place, other pollution things like vehicular traffic. So the government has actually been flying over the various fields and to find out who is burning these stubbles, and where are these people, and where are these stubbles being burnt about. So this is no more, let me again go back to the point, this is no more about futuristic thing, it's a very much a present thing. And then based on those images that are captured, government is able to find out who the culprits are and penalize them accordingly. So it's already happening in our life. The surveyed drones are no more a realistic things. Then you have the fleet of agri bots. Now, a lot of these farms, they need, I mean, everybody's talking about moving people away from the farming industry to more of a industrial areas. So this can be a great example where we can use bots for agricultural product. Smart tractors. Are now coming up with immense number of devices attached, which are actually giving back information to the mobile handsets of a farmer. So this is no more a futuristic thing. This is a practical thing. Again, I would like to say. So this is one of the ways agriculture has started to use Internet of Things, data that is being sent around, the sensing of data and everything else. That brings me to another question: is what else are there areas? Okay, let me give an example of the body and health. Now, we all are living in the times of coronavirus. This time has taught us one very important lesson. And the most important lesson that we have learned is the value of our health. Now, all of us are sitting in our homes, confined. That is impacting our body. How? Because earlier we could go out, we could run, we could do exercises, we could move around. Even if we did not do exercise, even if we went to the office, we walked, that also gave us exercise. That was a form of an exercise. But now it is not. So health is becoming a very important area in Internet of Devices. So let me give an example of this Internet of Devices things. This smart watches that we are wearing, some of us or a lot of us must be having it. Counting number of steps, how many calories you have burnt, what is your heartbeat rate, what is the current conditions, where are you staying, all these things. What is this about? There's a device that is installed inside that smart watch, and it is giving information about your daily activity, which is being collected by somebody to tell you that you have not done enough amount of exercise, and therefore you're heading towards this kind of a disaster in your life. So this is already a reality. Smart infrastructure, smart mobility. Now, smart mobility, let me give an example of smart traffic routing. Now, all of us must be using some of these applications that are there for traffic management, whether it's Google Plays or any of these. I would not like to name any of them. So what do? You don't take this path, take another path. Why? Because there's a there's a 10 minutes delay out there. So what are they doing? They're actually looking at the information that is coming from your mobiles, and it is telling the people and drivers that please don't do it anymore. You go this way and you go that way. Smoke alarms, refrigerators, washing machines. We just looked at these kind of case studies. That brings up the question of what is this combination all about? It's a combination of technologies, multiple technologies at multiple time periods are being used. So you have the mobile internet, which is very important. Otherwise, how would you get information in a real-time system? You have the culling of information, which has to be analyzed in a real time. So therefore, you need machine learning, artificial intelligence, all these techniques, technologies. Now, with so much of data being captured and data being enriched, you need to protect your data because that is what your value is. Therefore, a cyber security becomes a very important component out there. Then you're giving services on the edge. When I say on the edge, that means in a real time system to the person concerned. So you're actually giving him in the real time system on the edge. He's doing something, he's driving, you're giving him the information. You know, he's moving about in a house, you're giving him the information, that you're giving the devices attached in the house that, oh God, there's nobody out there, please switch off the lights, go off automatically. Now, I mean, in fact, I'm sure some of us or all of us must have looked at those advertisements where you can switch on and switch off your fans using our mobile applications. What is that all about? It's all about Internet of Things. There is a chip that is installed which senses whether the fan is to need switched on or switched off using an application which is installed on your mobile device. So there is a communication that is taking place, and what is it happening? There's a data communication that is taking place ultimately. So IoT platforms, digital literacy has become a very important area now. This entire digital thing that we are, this literacy thing that we are undergoing, it is playing very important roles. How our agile automation would be taking place. There has to be a trusted communication. When I say trusted communications, that means secure pathways for movement of data. Data is the key. You have to save your data. If I get all your data, I can do whatever I want to do. So cyber security, trusted communication, agile automation, all these things are becoming very key ingredients of this entire IoT game. Now, how is it impacting this IoT is impacting our smart cities? So when we say infrastructure and process will become, they have already started to become smart solutions. We are aligning the city's vision, whether it is where do I need to have a social spaces, a common assets to be plugged in, or even they are some of us are having gas connectivity. Instead of the usual cylinder connections, we have now got these gas connections which are coming directly to our homes. Pipe gas is what we call it. What do? They install meters at our places, and they have installed devices to measure the pressure, to measure everything else, what is happening. And by the way, this is being monitored in a real-time system. So this is actually happening again. Management of what? Management of an intelligent service through a proactive response. So you're not no more waiting in a reactive situation. If you find that your gas pressure is increasing in a particular zone, and you can monitor that, you are monitoring it through the devices that are attached in the pipeline, you're able to figure out that, okay, now I need to take an action. So before it bursts open and creates a havoc, and loss of lives and damage to property takes place, and the loss of economic takes place. So in order to protect ourselves, we are becoming proactive rather than reactive anymore. And then you can measure, what are the techniques you're using? You are using auditing, you're using your supply chain management, your capacity building, to ensure that you are able to optimize your resources. So that brings me to the question of an example, rather, of an intelligent, system. So I'm sure some of us, or most of us who have gone to, all of us who have gone to the malls, or even parking spaces we come across, where we are able to find out, what is happening, where can I park my car. So actually, there's a sensor or a device. You look at that point one, if there's a sensor or a device which is telling me, which is actually communicating to the nearest tower location, and is telling me that through my smartphone application that there is a place available for you to park, so you can park. Also, it can tell you there's a parking fees, how much is it available, how much is parking space available, how much is the parking fees, and certain special permits, legitimization. So you already have these kind of systems that are playing around with us, and we are not even realizing that we are already in the world of IoT. Now, what is the benefit that we gain? Now, just imagine you are searching for a parking in a crowded market, and you are going around circles and circles and circles in order to find out a parking space. But if I come to know that there is a parking space present at a place X, all I need to do is just drive in. How does it help me? Saves time, saves my, most importantly, saves fuel, helps the protection of environment, because you're able to figure out where you need to do and what you need to do and where do you need to reach in a zippy. You don't need to actually go through a lot of steps, trying to figure out to park your car. So some of the areas that we can look at is, say, waste management, monitoring of waste bins, or smart water supply, monitoring of quality of air, relative humidity, temperatures, transmitting it through the central control systems, smart parking. We talked about smart metering. I'm sure all of us must have heard this word, smart metering. What is the smart metering all about? It is about non-tampering. When we say non-tampering, it does not only mean that you physical tampering, but also the fact that the data or the information that is being collected is not being manipulated. It is being sent out in the real-time systems to the nearest location of the service provider to ensure that you get the best of service. So that means you're not overbilled or underbilled. That's very important, because underbilling is a loss to the organization or company. That will result in a loss of your services, whereas overbilling is obviously a pressure on your pockets. Smart intelligent traffic management, you are able to figure out who's moving, when is it moving, this person is moving. Smart health, we just talked about application of these smart watches that we are already looking at. Now, another example that we're looking at in this case of smart cities is this, smart bins or smart, I would say, waste management systems. So you have these bins that are there, and they have got trackers which is attached to the nearest pole or anywhere else, and it is telling the person who's driving the car or the truck that there is a lot of garbage that has been piled up at a particular place. Please go and pick it up fast. So you're already you can put, and then you collect all that information, and then from that information place which is being stored, you can tell the driver directly that, okay, you need to move, this is the kind of garbage that you have, and you can move to either recycling plant or manufacturing plant or a health safety or authorities area, whatever it is. So if you just imagine these garbage cans are in the place of, say, a hospital, nearby hospital, or in a hospital premises, and the devices that are attached is telling the the garbage truck mover driver that there is a lot of garbage and this is within the hospital premises, please pick it up. All he needs to do now is pick up the thing, and all he'll be getting information is you immediately go and submit all this piece of garbage that you have to the health and safety authorities. So it helps all of us, it helps us all to have a better lifestyle, better care for the environment, and improvement in our overall services. So another area where this is being used extensively is in the fleet management, warehouse management. So warehouse management is about smart inventory management. So that means you are able to tell how much storage space is available. Also, you're able to detect, based on the devices that you have installed, you're able to detect how much is the damage. So that means damaged products can be immediately removed. Just imagine this being case of a perishable goods like food items. It's very important. If we can remove those perishable, those rotten, rotting or rotten items, food items, it will save the other food items. So you can do that. It's already being done. In fact, real-time visibility. Can you find out? You are able to find it out in the real time, and predictive maintenance. When I say predictive maintenance, I mean, what I mean primarily is you're able to predict when the maintenance is required, where is it required, what is the level at which you need a maintenance, all that stuff. The last mile delivery, that is about trip management, the mobile proof of delivery, route planning. Now, mobile proof of delivery, we are getting our goods delivered at our homes by various e-commerce companies, and they tell us, okay, now the good has been delivered. So you don't have to, earlier, if you remember, we used to sign it on a piece of paper. Now all they do is they scan the QR code, and they come to know, okay, the good has been delivered at a particular place. So again, another example of IoT with mobile device manufacturing areas. Now, what is important in this entire game? The game changer as it is coming around is the 5G. But this 5G is actually about what? It's about connectivity of devices. Say 100,000 devices, and there's a lot of. If you look at this, you'll be able to support 1 million simultaneous devices in a zero point 0.5 mile. There's a half mile radius. The massive number of devices you're looking at compared to 100,000 connections that you were looking at the 4G. But what is happening is the challenge that you'll be facing is a lot of battery life would be lost. So how do you make your batteries go up? You've got to run these devices. You've got to ensure that the devices run 24 into 7. So your batteries need to value of the battery life has to go up. Similarly, downloading of the data that is there, high speed data that is there, low latency, that means the turnaround times is very low and you can immediately do a lot of things at a very fast pace. So this 5G is becoming is going to be a very big game changer, particularly in case of IoT and in case of our other manufacturing areas. This is going to be a very big area, and this is a great area for all the aspiring telecommunication engineers. 5G is going to be a great area to be working in along with IoT, and just imagine you have a bright future out there. That brings me to the question of smart industry and smart manufacturing. Basically, smart manufacturing is about physical and cyber connectivity. So we were, till about today's time, we would say we are in the third industrial revolution, where we started up all the way from use of steam and power in the first industrial revolution to moving to the help of electrical energy provide, and then we moved to the application of electronics and information technology to further automate. But now we are looking at a smart industry where we're looking at more of a cyber and physical production systems, merging of real worlds and a real time system. So degree of complexity is increasing along with the improvement and increase in technology. Now just look at this case. When I say smart movement of world, what I mean is the boundary between the physical world and the virtual world will become very narrow. So right from creation to usage to transform to services providence, all these things will begin to merge. So let's take the case of creation. How does it that help? You'll be able to do your simulations. You'll be able to do a lot of software engineering productivity areas, maintenance and repair. Now, just imagine you are selling a good and you are providing a service. Now you're not very satisfied with the service provider. What do? You just go and write it down on a social media platform. Now that's a massive headache for any manufacturer. So he has to not only look now more, not only now in today's world, look at the physical part, that is the production part. He also has to look at the other aspect of life, that is the cyber aspect of life, where you're looking at social media, the digital analytics, the service portals, because there you can make or break your products life. So a lot of products have won a game on the social media platforms, whereas a lot of products have lost the lives because of the social media platform. So this verge or this world of physical and virtual has started to merge together, and this is where the industry 4.0 has started to play an important role. So if you look at this point, fourth industrial revolution on the basis of cyber physical production systems, merging of real and virtual worlds. So here is the virtual worlds being merged and the physical world being merged together at one time period. But what is the smart manufacturing all about? It's about autonomous manufacturing. It's about seamless connections of value chain, where you're able to deliver your products in a right time, right space, right place. So just imagine you're a production engineer, or you're an industrial engineer, and you understand the fundamentals of Internet of Things. You understand how this data is collected, where this data is being collected. You have a bright future out there. You can add value to the scales to the organization concerned. So this is where the world has already started to move. We are seeing a lot of these robotic arms being used particularly in case of our automobile vehicles or other high areas which has got a lot of I would say uh, dangerous areas such as chemical plants or steel plants or even oil rigs and all that area. So coming back to the some of the areas which is being applied in oil and gas industry, the sensors that has already been installed is, you have humidity sensors which is detecting your moisture content on oil rig. The temperature sensors are there which is telling you what is the temperature at this real time period, and it is all being fed back to the real time in the real time to the central control, so that any maintenance work which needs to be taken up by a person. So has to be done, can be done in a safe environment. Please understand, in any case, human life is the most important thing that we are looking at. And how do we save human lives is where all these devices keep on sending out information. They will tell the person concerned that you are entering into a danger zone. Don't go beyond this thing. It is going to cause damage to your health, and therefore you are able to do these activities. Now just imagine earlier, if when we did not have these devices installed, what was happening. We were playing around with our lives, and there were a lot of accidents that was taking place. So this technology of Internet of Things, where you're connecting information with the embedded devices, sending it out, analyzing in real times, telling the person concerned. So this brings the entire value chain of that process people in a technology thing concerned. Now, from here on, I would like to take some time off, in terms of, okay, I have, in terms of more of a, what kind of roles and what kind of opportunities there are for us, as all of us, either in terms of, uh, uh, who want to aspire a career in these areas. One of the areas, so we generally tend to think data scientists, data engineers are the career options. I would slightly like to disagree, because there are multiple opportunities like this. You can become a database administrator, you can become a database modeler, you can become a data engineer. So what would a data modeler do? He would, he would look at the documents, business documents, rules, creates conceptual, logical, physical data models to translate them into the database designs and create a relational. So what kind of skills that you would need? You would primarily need relational and dimensional modeling. Similarly, a BI engineer or a business intelligence engineer, a very great area to be in. You're going to document your business needs, and on a databases data, you'll carry out your data analysis, reporting, dashboarding. uh, so all these kind of areas are open for all of us who aspire to be working in these areas of IoT and all these and technologies merging together. One of the questions that often comes to mind, if I want to take up a career path, what is the kind of skills that I need to do? What are the kind of skills I feel I should be having in order to ensure that I become very good data scientist or a data engineer? So this diagram actually brings out that thing. So if you aspire to be a data analyst, you have to be very good with the programming tools. Now programming tools can be anything like open source tools, or even the product, I would say licensed tools such as MATLAB and other things. So you have got to be very good with your communication and visualization skills, your data intuition, the statistics is going to be very important. Based on your choice of your career path, you'll have to take a call of how do you want to take it further down the line. Now, generally, how would a modern data scientist look like? So you need to have a bit of a combination of everything. So there are a lot of things, say mathematics, statistics, database programming, communication skills, uh, you know, domain skills, communication, visualization skills. So these are the kind of skills that you need to have: machine learning, statistical modeling, experimental design, relational algebra, able to engage with senior management, communication, visualization, domain specific. These are the kind of skills that a modern data scientist would definitely should have, and it's a very good area to be in. Having said that, one of the areas that we often tend to overlook or underlook is front end developer versus back end developer. There's a huge requirement for a front end developer. Trust me, when I'm trying to build up a team and I'm saying I need a good UI UX developer, I hardly get one. It's a very difficult field. Can somebody become a very good UI UX developer for me on a mobile application? Can somebody really do a great JavaScripting and jQueries? Can do bootstrapping, all these things? Can somebody help me out in that? It's a very difficult area. I mean, I'm not a very difficult area, I would say. uh, it's a very difficult to get these kind of skills. Why? Because there is a huge demand gap supply. So all of us have a great opportunity. So whether it's a back end or a front end, so for back end you would need PHP, C sharp, Ruby, Python. You should be flexible, organized, detail oriented. Hacking skills would be very important. So all these kind of things that are there would be very important for all of us to make a great career in a front end and a back end career development. Another question that often comes to mind, okay, I want to be a data scientist, but what are the things that I need to do? A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you look at this thing, it starts all the way from basics of statistics and probability. So all the aspiring data scientists, I would request, please spend some time with probability concepts. It's very important, trust me, because this entire game of IoT, machine learning, rather a machine IoT, which is a combination of devices, data analysis, productivity, all of them is about game of probability, where you need to know a lot of scripting and databases, because you all will be sure you'll be, you'll be keeping your information in your databases, so you need to pull those them out. So you need to know MySQL, MongoDB, machine learning algorithms, visualization. Then you become a great machine learning engineer. And if you want to pursue further to become a data scientist, then definitely you need to know some of the big data tools such as Hadoop, Spark, Cloud, whatever you feel is up to you. You take up an area and you start to master that. Similarly, that brings up another question: is cloud engineer or an architect career path? What do I need to do? So these are some of the fundamental steps that you need to know. You need to be very good with the Linux fundamentals. Trust me, it's a very important thing. You need to be very good with your ability to tell a story. This entire technology is all about storytelling. So just imagine the dashboards that we have in our cars, the fancy looking dashboards. What attracts us to a car? The fancy looking dashboards. Oh wow, what a dashboard to look at. Now that's a very important thing. That's telling a story. What is the story that it is telling? What does that dashboard in a car tell you the story? It tells you the story about the condition of the car at this time period. How much is the fuel gauge? How much is the speed it is picking up? What is the rotation per week, minutes, and all these things? What is the heat conditions? Everything. So just imagine you are able to pull that out in piece of information, and that's a great way of saying a story. Another path that is becoming very popular in all these areas of new technologies is blockchain. So some of the areas you can look at is all the way from blockchain developer to blockchain quality engineers, blockchain experts, architects, project managers, blockchain engineers, and finally the blockchain legal consultants. And having said that, I would just like to take you to this diagram which clearly spells out, I want to become a good in blockchain. I want to do, because a lot of this technology has started to now move in terms of the blockchain, the IoT technology, because there's so much of information, cybersecurity, all these things have started to move in terms of blockchains. So if you're very technically inclined, you have a great career. You're not technically very inclined, you still have a great career. Not to worry. Everybody, all of us have a great opportunity as we go ahead in our lives. So it is an opportunity. This Internet of Things is an opportunity for all of us coming from all fields, whether irrespective of the areas that we are looking at, whether it is uh, engineering or whether it is computer sciences, mathematics. Everybody has a great opportunity. Blockchain engineers, everyone, all of us have a great time we can build up our careers in. Some of the new IoT job roles that have started to come in: 3D print technicians or cybersecurity analytics or robotics has become very important. Platform developers, cloud architects. Similarly, that brings us to another very important point, and that is about GIS, geographic information systems. It's about analyzing information in a real time and putting it up on a map, which is good, storing and manipulating visualization on a graphic information. Now, just imagine you're able to just imagine you're using a Google, any of the applications regarding your movement of traffic. Now, what do we see? We see red lines and not so red, orange lines and green lines and blue lines. What does that indicate? Doesn't it indicate very beautifully how does the traffic movement taking place at this time period? What is it all about? It's about GIS. The maps are being used to tell you uh, what the traffic is at this time period. So you're analyzing, you're storing, you're manipulating, and you're visualizing this entire piece of information on a graphical way. But here the graphical becomes more in terms of maps. And this, by the way, has become very, very important. So particularly in case of defense industry, in case of health industry, in case of insurance industry, all these places have become very important, where you can make a great mark and a great career in GIS as a technology. So that brings me to the end of our session for the day today. And I would like to have some questions going around. I deliberately wanted to keep it a very short and sweet thing so that all of us could share our information and share our experiences as we go ahead. So I'll be very happy to take questions now. So please go ahead.
Yes, sir. We have some questions from several students. They've
Oh,
commented
great.
on let me just. So our first question is from Kaushik. He's a student of computer applications. He asks how Internet of Things is is dependent on wireless technologies.
So, Kaushik, the wireless technology and Internet of Things are completely interdependent. Why? Because just imagine you're putting up as. Let me just go back to the diagrammatic thing. Let me just share this thing. Share my screen, perhaps. Then you will be able to appreciate with the diagram thing. Okay. I hope you can see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Great. So, let me just take this case of parking. Now, just imagine you have got a device installed at place one. Now, without how would you tell the car driver that there is a place available for you to park? You need connectivity, right? Without which things will never take place. So, how do you connect without the telecommunication backbone? So that becomes a very important. I think so. This brings out a very clearly the example of how the devices are being used. Similarly, and connectivity is being established. Similarly, take this case of future farms. It's no more a future. It's already the present farm we're looking at. So how does the communication take place through telecommunications systems, right?
Yes, sir. So second question is from Atul. He's from computer applications as well. He asks, what are the prerequisites of learning Internet of Things?
So prerequisites for learning of, I would not call it any particular specific area. See, it is very depend. It depends on the area that you're in. So if you're an electrical engineer or an electronics engineer, you should be very good with your electronics and electrical and mechanical. All these areas, whatever you are there, you should be very good with that. The other things that you need to do is you need to learn a lot of communication technologies because these devices have to communicate among each other. So you need to understand the communication technologies. You need to understand the data analysis. You need to understand data. How will you store data? How will you call out data in real time? How do you perform your analytical skills? So, and most importantly, how do you tell a story? You have done everything else on the earth. You have made the best of the models, but you're not able to tell what is going to happen next. How do I go and tell that story? That storytelling is very important. So everything is important point. So start off from your fundamentals, whatever your areas you're in. Follow it up with your other areas such as whatever you want to do it. You know, analytics, data sciences, machine learning, mathematics, all these areas. So you can take one step at a time. I think so that will be a great starting point.
Sir, I have one question of myself. So, in the previous semester, I was made to write an article on Internet of Things. Where I don't know if it was published or not, but in that I learned that Internet of Things is somewhat similar to the Big Brother concept, where everything is connected to one single entity or is being looked upon from that. Or I mean, in that article, I wrote about the security issues as well. I mean, of course, when something is going to be connected with everything, then security issues arise. So it can create an apocalyptic scenario if some security is compromised, right? So my question is it worth the risk to dwell into this Internet of Things? Is it worth the risk?
So let me give an example. Let me give this answer with an example. Now, just imagine you're working in an oil rig or a steel company or a steel furnace or a chemical industry. It's a very dangerous areas to be working in for human beings, right? So how do you find out what the conditions are before you venture into a predictive maintenance? You've got to do a maintenance, right? How do you find out that the maintenance is badly required at this time period before an explosion takes place? Right? So you go into a place called as predictive maintenance. You're trying to predict your maintenance thing. Having said that, how do you find it out? You have got to attach sensors to the various points which can give you information. Now that is giving information that is being analyzed in a real time and that is being told to the people that if you don't do your maintenance now, you are heading into a red zone. That's a question that you have, right? And the other point of the verse is that whether it is worth it because of the cybersecurity features. Well, whether you go for it or you don't go for it, cybersecurity is an issue.
Hmm.
So it is better to go for it. Cybersecurity is one of the components that you need to take care of it in a very clear cut manner.
Okay, sir. That was a very clear answer. So the next question is from Shiv. He asks, what are the fundamental components of Internet of Things?
So fundamental, let me again just go back to this diagram and perhaps again, share this point again. So I will continue to share the screen rather than stop sharing it. So, okay. That the fundamental thing about Internet of Things, what is it all about? It is about devices. It's about data sensing. It's about communication. It's about analytics. It's about data value, and most importantly, the value that it brings, the tangible benefit that it brings to the human beings. So these are the six very important components, I would say, which is there for important things for Internet of Things, for connection or basically connection for benefit of human beings.
I hope that you made that clear. The next question is from Jay. He's also a student of computer applications. He asks, can we relate the Internet of Things with the technology of sensor networks?
Yes, we are already looking at this thing. What is this all about? Sensors. It's all about sensors, and if we bring into the consideration the connectivity, where how would these devices begin to communicate? They can only communicate through connectivity, where we're looking at all the way from Ethernet to all the way to 4G, now 5G, right? So the connectivity has become a very important bandwidth and an important issue, and it's all about people and processes, as we talked about some time back. So how do these devices communicate among themselves? Through connectivity.
That was a very clear answer. Thank you. And our next question is from Shagun, a student of BCA as well. She asks, which databases are suitable for Internet of Things?
So there's no specific databases that are there. I mean, you can use, basically this is all about collection of information. Now, depending upon the volume of the data that you're collecting, will depend upon the kind of database that you need to keep. Also, depending upon the nature of data that you're collecting. So if you have got a farm where you're flying a drone, so that means you are doing a lot of images that is being captured. Now, MongoDB would be a great example where we can keep a lot of unstructured storage data, type of data. Similarly, you have got a lot of, you've got a sensor attached, and you've got which is continuously throwing up temperature or humidity levels or any other such thing. Then in that case, it becomes a very structured form of data, numbers that you're looking at. In that case, any of the commercial databases, MySQL, non-commercial ones, can be a great example to be used.
Okay, sir. The next question is from Nidija. She asks, is Internet of Things software different than other wireless device softwares?
So I'm sorry, I couldn't get this question. To be very frank with you.
Let me repeat, sir. Is Internet of Things software different than other wireless device softwares?
So Internet of Things is not a software, first of all. It's a philosophy. It's a concept. Please understand this. Internet of Things is about connectivity of devices to carry out analysis in a real-time systems. So devices have been attached at various places so that information can be gathered and they can be analyzed in real-time systems. Now you don't have an Internet of Things software. You have a platform. You have this philosophy. You have this ideology. What you do after collecting information is up to you. So there's no software such, quote unquote.
Okay, sir. So I also have one more question for myself. So I'm very well versed with the software part of the computer science, but I don't know how to embed it to the hardware. So am I eligible to get into the field of Internet of Things?
Yes, you are eligible. Why not? I mean, see, as I said, this area is open to everybody. Now, just imagine you are a chemical engineer, okay? Or you're working in a chemical engineering part. Now, I am a data scientist. I don't know anything about chemical engineering. But you, as a person, knows how this chemical engineering works, how this entire industry works. So what is when I say amber, red, and orange, I can hardly make a difference between what is red for me may not be red for you. So I will be needing your help. So your areas are open, or this IoT area is open for everybody. It's open for all kind of people, right from hardware people to software people to hardcore engineering people, everybody. It's open for everybody. So you don't need to know everything on the earth. You need to specialize in one area.
Okay, sir. Thank you for the enlightenment. The next question is from Dhruv Khanna. He asks, which current operating system supports the IoT the most?
See, there's no such thing as IoT, operating system for IoT. It's a devices. It's an interconnection of devices. So you can install any kind of a device. Now, just imagine you're running your washing machine, automated washing machine. What kind of what kind of operating system does it have? It's a device. It's an electronic device. It's a sensitive device which is telling you the level of water, how much time period you need to rotate, or what is the time period you need to do everything else. It's an automated system, right?
Yes, sir. So our next question is from Nidhi Khanna. She asks, what is the difference between Bluetooth technology and Internet of Things, or any other wireless technology?
Sorry, you said something.
Nidhi Khanna is asking, what is the difference between Bluetooth technology and Internet of Things?
Bluetooth technology is another technology of communication. It's a communication thing. So I'll just go back to this thing. You see Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all these things. Can you see that diagram? It's starting all the way from power line, Ethernet, printed. All these are technologies. Bluetooth is also one of them. The connectivity technology. So it's a connectivity way. It's a way in which connectivity of information is taking place. It's a pathway rather.
Okay, sir. So our next question is from Archana. She's a student of computer applications as well. She asked, will 5G network completely submerge into IoT devices?
So 5G network is a network, okay? It's a communication network. What actually it will do is it will help you to connect to multiple devices. So where 100,000 devices could be connected only on a maximum was 100,000 devices in a, you could connect on a 4G. Now with 5G, you can connect up to 1 million devices simultaneously within a half a mile radius. So that is a bandwidth, or rather, that is a big thing that this 5G connectivity brings to picture.
Okay, sir. So I have one question from the hardware department. He asks, what is pulse width modulation in Internet of Things?
Now I'll have to look at that thing very clearly. I can't be very confident on that. I will, before I answer that question, I'll rather take it up offline and give you the exact answer on that.
Oh, sure, sir. So our next question is from Malvika Sani. She asks, what are the various types of antennas designed for Internet of Things?
Now, there's no such antennas design. It's all about connectivity. Let me again go back.
Yes, sir.
It's all about connectivity through your pathways. What kind of connection you're using. So there's no such antennas thing.
It's all about connectivity. All right. So I guess no, there's one more question. He's asking, which of the most popular companies are working on Internet of Things?
Oh, all of them. Trust me, all the big companies are working on Internet of Things. You name any company, they are. Do you name any telecommunication company, they are already working into it. You name any of the big firms in the world, they are already working into it. Google, Amazon, everybody is working on it. There's nobody who doesn't have a technological backbone or is not willing to bet on it. Everybody is working in this area now.
Okay, sir. So I guess that's all our questions. Actually, that was a great session, sir. It was very enlightening, and I learned a lot. I've studied about Internet of Things before, but this session truly enlightened me on that path. I really thank you again. Thank you for coming with us.
Thank
you so much, sir. It's really great to have you for these interactions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bharna. It was very nice interacting with one and all.